India and the United States are facing one of their sharpest economic confrontations in years, and for many Indians, it feels like an intentional effort to undermine the country's growth. Donald Trump's decision to impose a 25% tariff on Indian exports worth more than 3.3 Indian rupees lakh crore, or about $40 billion, has triggered widespread outrage. But what has amplified this anger even further is his description of India's economy as dead, a statement that millions across India see as not only inaccurate but deeply disrespectful to a nation that is now driving global growth. Trump's words and actions are being viewed not just as a trade maneuver but as an insult to India's progress and its growing influence on the world stage. And the response from India has been swift, bold, and deeply rooted in both strategy and pride. India's official reply to these measures has been unambiguous and firm. Government representatives have described the tariffs as unjustified, unilateral, and inconsistent with the principles of fair trade. They emphasize that these actions are harmful to global economic stability and represent an attempt to weaponize trade to exert pressure on sovereign nations. The reply makes it clear that India will not allow its industries, farmers, or workers to be undermined by decisions taken to serve narrow political agendas elsewhere. Officials also underline that India reserves the right to take reciprocal and proportionate measures to defend its economy, while continuing to push for rules-based multilateral trade that respects the sovereignty of all nations. In reality, the economic data exposes the hollowness of Trump's claims. India is projected to grow at 6.4% in 2025 and 2026, making it the fastest-growing major economy in the world, while the United States is expected to hover around just 2% growth during the same period. India's economy has already reached 356 Indian rupees lakh crore, about $4.3 trillion, and adds nearly 83 Indian rupees lakh crore, or $1 trillion, every 12 to 18 months. Meanwhile, the United States carries a staggering $37 trillion of debt, equal to about 3,083 Indian rupees lakh crore. Across India, this contrast has become a rallying cry. The country labeled dead is surging ahead, while the nation that delivered the insult is drowning in unprecedented debt. Social media is flooded with memes and commentary mocking the irony of the situation, but beneath the humor is a clear message of anger and defiance. India will not be belittled, and it will not be slowed down. Rather than react emotionally, India has chosen to respond with power and precision. The government has rolled out a 20,000 Indian rupees crore brand India export package to protect industries hit by these tariffs and to accelerate diversification away from the US market. At the same time, India is deepening partnerships within BRICS and the Global South, building new payment systems and trade routes that reduce dependence on the US dollar. Russia and several other nations have openly backed India's stance, framing Trump's measures as further evidence of why emerging economies must strengthen their collective voice. Even India and China, despite their many differences, are exploring pragmatic cooperation under the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership to safeguard supply chains and shield their economies from such external shocks. What Trump intended as pressure is instead catalyzing a wave of global partnerships that make India stronger and more resilient. On the domestic front, India's fundamentals remain solid and are turning this challenge into an opportunity. Manufacturing has surged past 40 Indian rupees lakh crore, or about $480 billion, powered by growth in electronics, renewable energy, and infrastructure. The 1.97 Indian rupees lakh crore production-linked incentive schemes, worth around $24 billion, are attracting global giants like Apple and Tesla to expand their investments in India, signaling confidence in the country's long-term stability. Even the weakening rupee, often seen as a vulnerability, is now working in India's favor. With each 1% depreciation adding nearly 10,000 Indian rupees crore, or about $1.2 billion, in export advantages that help offset the impact of these tariffs. Anger across India is no longer just emotional, it has transformed into determination. Business leaders argue that these tariffs are an attempt to weaken industries that are increasingly competitive on the global stage, while policymakers view them as a test of India's ability to assert its sovereignty in economic affairs. Rather than succumbing to pressure, India is turning these measures into fuel for innovation and self-reliance, sending a clear message to the world that its rise cannot be contained. Trump's attempt to corner India may even be backfiring, as it pushes New Delhi toward pragmatic alignments and stronger global coalitions that Washington once sought to prevent. India's story today is one of resilience, strength, and ambition. Despite attempts to slow it down, the country continues to grow faster than any other major economy, its industries are expanding, and its global partnerships are deepening. For India, this is more than a trade conflict, it is a defining moment in its journey toward becoming a global power. And as the country channels its anger into action, one message becomes clear: India is not a dead economy, it is a rising force, and no tariff, no insult, and no attempt at economic bullying can change that.